My name is Jiwon, and on the day I awakened my talent, the academy decided I was a tragic loser. I decided that was convenient. Every student in the Republic gets one talent appraisal at 16. Most people pray for something useful. Sword mastery, flame magic, high-speed healing. Maybe a rare crafting talent if they are lucky. The kids at the Royal Hunter Academy prayed like their lives depended on it. I was busy wondering whether the appraisal crystal could explode. Then I touched it. The crystal went black. The examiner stopped breathing. The entire gym went silent. A gold window appeared in front of me. SSS rank talent, solo player. While fighting without another player registered as an ally, all earned rewards are multiplied by 10. EXP times 10. Item drops times 10. Boss rewards times 10. Quest rewards times 10. Achievement rewards times 10. Bonus conditions may unlock additional effects. The examiner stared at the crystal, then stared at me, then called 3 professors and a priest. I thought I had become some legendary chosen one. Then Professor Kang asked the most important question. So the multiplier disappears if he has a party member? The crystal answered for me. Yes. The room immediately lost interest. That was the funny part. Everyone heard must fight alone. I heard everything times 10. The academy rankings were built around party raids. Tanks, healers, damage dealers, scouts, supports. Students trained in squads because dungeons were designed to punish solo hunters. Even weak dungeons had mechanics that required multiple people. So within 5 minutes the rumor became simple. Jiwon had an SSS rank talent that was basically useless. One girl actually patted my shoulder. A guy I had never spoken to offered to let me carry his potions. I thanked him. Then I went home and laughed for 10 straight minutes because I had already done the math. If a normal student killed one goblin and gained 20 EXP, I would gain 200. If a boss dropped one skill book, I could get 10. If a hidden quest gave one stat point, I could get 10. And if a dungeon was designed for 40 people, then 40 people would split the rewards. I would not. The next morning, our class entered the training dungeon. It was called the Beginner Green Cavern. Recommended party size, 5. Threat level, embarrassing. The instructor told us to form teams. I did not move. Nobody invited me. Perfect. The instructor sighed so hard I could hear his disappointment from across the room. Jiwon, I know your talent has conditions, but teamwork is essential for a hunter. I nodded. Then I waited for every team to enter. Finally, I walked through the gate alone. The first goblin rushed me with a rusty spoon. Not a knife, a spoon. This dungeon was that weak. I dodged, hit it with the wooden academy sword, and the goblin exploded into blue particles. 10 level-up chimes rang at once. I froze. The system froze. Even the goblin's spoon froze in midair before falling to the ground. Apparently the dungeon itself needed a second to understand what had happened. I looked at my status. I had gained enough EXP from one goblin to jump from level 1 to level 4. Then 10 rusty spoons dropped. I stared at them. The system really meant everything. I spent the next 20 minutes beating goblins so hard that I accidentally created a local spoon shortage. Every kill turned into a shower of loot. 10 torn boots, 10 cracked rings, 10 beginner potions, 10 loaves of suspicious goblin bread. By the time I reached the first checkpoint, I was level 14 and carrying so much junk that I looked like a traveling garbage shop. Then I found the mini-boss, a giant goblin named Grunk the Loud. He had 600 HP. I had already put 30 bonus points into strength. Grunk screamed, lifted his club and started a dramatic boss animation. I punched him once. The animation continued without him. His body had already disappeared. The system awkwardly finished playing the music anyway. Then 10 bronze treasure chests appeared. That was when I understood something dangerous. My talent was not just strong, it was stupid. And I loved it. I opened the chests. 9 were trash. The 10th contained a rare passive skill called momentum. Every consecutive kill within 30 seconds increased movement speed by 1%, stacking up to 50 times. Normally, that would be a decent farming skill. For me, it was the beginning of a public safety issue. I finished the dungeon in 37 minutes. The academy record was 1 hour and 12 minutes. But because nobody had bothered watching the lonely guy, the instructors assumed I had skipped half the monsters. Professor Kang looked at my report. Level 21, I smiled. He frowned. Impossible, the scanner must be wrong. I agreed. Probably. That afternoon, the academy recalibrated the scanner. That evening, I entered a public F-rank dungeon called Rat King Sewer. I came out level 32 with 90 rat tails, 50 minor mana stones, 10 poison resistance rings, and enough silver coins to pay my tuition twice. The receptionist thought I had robbed another party. I showed her my solo entry record. She looked at the loot pile. Then she looked at me. Then she quietly called her manager. The manager called the dungeon bureau. The dungeon bureau called me a statistical anomaly. I called it Tuesday. For the next 3 weeks, I became the fastest growing nobody in the academy. That was intentional. I always arrived late to ranking practice. I wore the weakest academy gear. I never demonstrated my real stats in class. Whenever someone asked why I had suddenly become taller, faster, and slightly terrifying, I told them I had been drinking milk. This explanation somehow worked on 3 people. The problem was that level growth alone was not enough. Higher level dungeons had mechanics, real mechanics, pressure plates that needed 4 people, doors that opened only when 2 switches were pulled at once, bosses that marked different party members, raid monsters that regenerated unless attacked from multiple directions. The academy said these mechanics made solo clearing impossible. I took that personally. My first test was an E-rank ruin called the Hall of 4 Hands. The entrance literally had a warning, minimum party size 4. I entered alone. The first room had 4 pressure plates. Stand on all 4 to unlock the door. Simple. I pulled 4 goblin spoons from my inventory, tied each one to a sack of rocks, balanced the sacks on broken pillars, then kicked the pillars over so the sacks landed on the plates at the same time. The door opened. The dungeon system paused. I could almost feel it judging me. The second room required 2 people to turn separate statues. I tied a rope around one statue, wrapped the rope through 3 pulleys, stood by the other statue, and turned both with one pull. The door opened. The dungeon system displayed a new message. Unorthodox solution detected. I grinned. Then another message appeared. Hidden achievement unlocked. Why are you like this? Reward, 1 mystery box. My talent multiplied it. 10 mystery boxes dropped. I laughed so hard I fell off the statue. The academy had taught us that hidden achievements were extremely rare. Apparently the system enjoyed being annoyed. So I made annoying it my new career. I started testing every dungeon rule I could find. If a bridge required a tank to hold a lever, I jammed the lever with a sword. If a trap needed a healer to out-heal damage, I wore 10 regeneration necklaces at once. If a boss required a ranged attacker, I threw my sword. If a boss required a mage, I threw the mage's staff I had found in another dungeon. I was not technically casting magic, but the staff hit the boss in the forehead, so I considered the problem solved. Then I found my first serious dungeon. The C-rank dungeon was called Frost Fang Keep. Recommended party size, 12. Boss, Ice Ogre King. Average clear time, 5 hours. The academy used it for 3rd year elite squads. I was still a first year. I went there on a Sunday because the cafeteria served fish cake soup on Sundays, and I wanted to be back before lunch. The gate officer laughed when I showed my permit. You're alone? Yes. This is a 12-person dungeon. I can count. You could die. I can also count that. He stared at me for a long time. Then he pointed to the emergency crystal. If you break this, the dungeon ejects you. I took the crystal, then I entered. The first pack contained 27 ice wolves. My momentum skill reached maximum stacks in 9 seconds. The 10th wolf dropped a rare boot enchantment. 10 copies. I equipped 2 and fed the other 8 into the academy's equipment fusion system later. But at that moment, I discovered something more important. With 50 momentum stacks, my body moved faster than my common sense. I sprinted through the keep. Every wolf chased me. Then every goblin chased the wolves. Then every frost soldier chased the goblins. Then 3 mini-bosses joined. Within 4 minutes, I had accidentally gathered almost the entire dungeon behind me. A normal hunter would have panicked. I had an idea. It was a terrible idea. Those are usually my best ones. I ran to the frozen throne hall. The Ice Ogre King woke up. He roared. The floor cracked. The ceiling shook. A boss warning appeared. I kept running. The ogre swung his hammer at me. I ducked. The hammer hit the first wave of ice wolves. Then the frost soldiers crashed into the wolves. Then the mini-bosses crashed into the soldiers. Then the ogre swung again. I spent the next 2 minutes using the boss as a giant unpaid employee. Every time he attacked me, he killed 50 of his own monsters. The system started firing reward notifications so fast they formed a glowing wall in front of my face. I had to turn notifications off because I could no longer see the boss. Finally, only the ogre remained. He had 7% HP. I had not hit him once. I walked up. He looked exhausted. I almost felt bad. Then I remembered lunch. I kicked him into his own throne. The throne shattered. The boss died. The dungeon went quiet. Then 10 giant reward chests landed around me. One landed on my foot. That was the first damage I took all day. Inside the chests, I found 10 C-rank weapons, 10 frost cores, 30 high-grade potions, and 1 item that changed everything, a skill evolution stone. Normally, hunters needed years to find one. I had 10. I used the first on momentum. Momentum evolved into Predator's tempo. Now every consecutive kill increased speed, attack power, and reaction speed. I used a second stone. Predator's tempo evolved into endless tempo. The stack limit disappeared. I stopped. Even I knew that looked suspicious. I put the remaining 8 stones away. Then I left Frostfang Keep after 43 minutes. The gate officer dropped his coffee. I asked if the cafeteria was still open. He did not answer. By Monday morning, my name was on every academy forum. First-year Han Jiwon clears C-rank dungeon alone. Possible cheating. Possible hidden sponsor. Possible illegal artifact. Possible secret older brother disguised as student. My favorite theory was that I was actually 3 short hunters wearing 1 uniform. The academy investigated me. Professor Kang summoned me to a private testing room. There were 12 instructors, 2 dungeon officials, and 1 old man from the National Hunter Association. The old man had the kind of eyebrows that suggested he had not smiled since the invention of electricity. He asked me to display my talent. I did. They saw solo player. They went quiet. Professor Kang finally understood. 10 times everything? Yes. While alone? Yes. And you have been intentionally avoiding parties? Yes. He rubbed his forehead. Do you understand how dangerous that is? I thought about it. For the monsters? Nobody laughed. Tough room. The association wanted to place restrictions on me. The academy wanted to force me into supervised teams. 3 guilds wanted contracts. 1 guild offered me a penthouse. Another offered me a custom sports car. I did not have a driver's license. The 3rd guild offered me free fried chicken for life. That one was difficult. But I rejected them all. Because a contract meant a guild party. A guild party meant allies. Allies meant my multiplier disappeared. People saw teamwork as safety. I saw teamwork as a 90% tax. So I gave the association a compromise. I would only enter dungeons rated safe for my current level. That sounded reasonable. They agreed. Then I leveled so fast that their rule became useless in 4 days. By the end of the month, I was level 86. The strongest first-year student at the academy was level 42. The strongest second year was level 60. The strongest third year was level 89. And I was still pretending to struggle during physical training. That worked until the academy combat tournament. Participation was mandatory. Students fought in teams of 5. I tried to submit a medical excuse. The nurse checked me. My health stat was so high the machine gave me a congratulations message. So I entered. My team consisted of 4 students who had been rejected by everyone else. There was Minsu, whose talent made shields 10% shinier. There was Daeho, who could talk to slimes but only rude slimes. There was Neri, an archer who was terrified of arrows. And there was Bora, a healer who fainted when she saw blood. They looked at me like I was their last hope. I looked at the system. Party detected. Solo player inactive. I nearly cried. Our first opponents were the class favorites. 5 elite combat talents. The crowd expected us to lose in 30 seconds. I had a better plan. As soon as the match started, I raised my hand. I withdraw from the party. The referee blinked. What? I resign from the team. You cannot leave the arena. I'm not leaving the arena. I tapped the party interface. Leave party? Yes, the system chimed. Solo player active. My stats did not increase directly, but my reward multiplier returned. That was enough, because tournament wins gave EXP, and achievements, and bonus rewards. The elite captain charged me. I stepped aside. He ran into Minsu's shiny shield. The glare from the shield blinded him. Daeho summoned a training slime. The slime called him ugly. Daeho became furious and threw the slime. The slime hit the enemy mage. Nari panicked and fired her arrow backward. It bounced off the arena barrier, ricocheted off a sign, and struck the enemy healer's shoe. The healer screamed. Bora saw the tiny cut, fainted, and accidentally activated an area healing spell while unconscious. I stood in the middle of this disaster and realized my team was winning without me. Then the opposing berserker rushed Bora. I moved. 1 second later, he was outside the ring. Nobody saw me touch him. The crowd went silent. I turned to the referee. Does that count as solo? The referee looked spiritually exhausted. We won. My reward screen exploded. 10 tournament victory rewards, 10 underdog bonuses, 10 achievement boxes for winning while officially unaffiliated. Then I unlocked a new hidden effect. Solo player bonus condition achieved. Fight while surrounded by potential allies, but register none. New passive, Lone Authority. For every nearby person not registered as an ally, gain 1% resistance to control effects. That was ridiculous. The bigger the crowd, the harder it became to stop me. I looked at the packed stadium. My control resistance was over 1,000%. Professor Kang looked at my expression and immediately knew something had gone wrong. He walked over. What did you unlock? Nothing. Jiwon. Something small. How small? I slowly hid the system window. He closed his eyes. The tournament continued. Our team technically became 4 people plus me standing nearby like a suspicious contractor. We reached the finals. The final opponent was Sayurin, the Academy's famous genius, S-rank sword talent, 3rd-generation hunter family, perfect grades, level 74 as a first year because her family had fed her premium dungeon resources since childhood. She had rejected 12 guild contracts before even entering school. She was also extremely annoyed that everyone had started talking about me instead of her. Before the match, she blocked my path. You think refusing parties makes you special? No, the system does. You're arrogant. I'm efficient. You're hiding your real level. I said nothing. Her eyes narrowed. Then she smiled. Good. I hate boring opponents. The final began. Yiren's team formed a flawless formation. Tank front, healer rear, mage control, archer support, Yiren in the center. My former team immediately ran in 4 different directions. I left the party. Solo player activated. Yiren vanished. Her sword appeared at my throat. Fast. Really fast. For the first time in months, I had to dodge seriously. The blade passed my cheek. A tiny red line appeared. Bora saw the blood from across the arena and fainted again. Her unconscious healing spell activated again. Apparently fainting was her most reliable technique. Yiren attacked 12 times. I blocked with a wooden practice sword. It broke on the 3rd hit, so I blocked the 4th with the handle, the 5th with my wrist guard, the 6th with the enemy tank's shield after borrowing it without permission. The tank tried to take it back. I spun around him, used the shield to block Yiren, then returned it. He looked confused. I apologized. Then the mage cast a binding field. Lone Authority ignored it. The archer fired a slowing arrow. Lone Authority ignored it. The tank used a taunt skill. The system informed me that I was too stubborn to be taunted. I had no idea that was a real status. Yiren finally used her ultimate technique, 7 Moon Severing Sword. The arena lights dimmed. 7 silver sword arcs filled the air. The crowd screamed. I had 2 options, dodge, or do something stupid enough to unlock another achievement. I chose the second. I ran toward the attack. At the last second, I jumped on the flat side of the first sword arc. It was made of condensed mana. It should not have been physically possible to stand on it. But my boots had an enchantment called Minor Surface Grip. Apparently, surface was a flexible concept. I rode the sword arc like a skateboard. Yiren's face changed. I jumped from the first arc to the second, then the third, then the fourth. The crowd lost its mind. By the 6th, even I was questioning my decisions. On the 7th, I launched myself directly over Yiren. I landed behind her, tapped her shoulder, and gently pushed. She stepped outside the ring. The referee stared. Yiren stared. I stared. Then the system appeared. Hidden achievement unlocked. This was not the intended mechanic. Reward multiplied by 10. The crowd erupted. I became Academy Tournament champion. Yiren tried to challenge me again immediately. Professor Kang physically dragged both of us away in opposite directions. That should have been the biggest event of the semester. It was not. 3 days later, the sky above Seoul turned purple. A red dungeon gate opened over the river. Not near the river, over it, floating. The gate was the size of a stadium. Every national alert system activated at once. The association classified it as an A-rank raid dungeon. Recommended force, 40 hunters. Then the gate projected a timer. Dungeon break in 6 hours. If nobody cleared it, every monster inside would pour into the city. The national teams mobilized. Guilds arrived. Helicopters arrived. Reporters arrived. My academy locked every student inside campus. Naturally, I left through the laundry tunnel. I did not know the academy had a laundry tunnel until that day. I just followed 2 seniors who were sneaking out for noodles. At the river, I saw the raid gate. Name, Cathedral of the Iron Ant Emperor. Minimum recommended party, 40. Special warning, army-type dungeon. Special warning, cooperative boss mechanics. Special warning, solo entry strongly discouraged. I read that last line twice. It felt personal. The association had formed a raid of 42 elite hunters. They were preparing to enter. Then a problem appeared. The dungeon rejected them. Maximum party size, 40. They started arguing about who had to stay outside. 2 healers refused. 3 tanks demanded priority. A famous streamer hunter insisted his contract required him to participate. A guild master threatened to withdraw his entire team if his nephew was removed. The timer continued. 5 hours and 41 minutes. I walked toward the gate. A guard recognized me. No, I had not even said anything. I'm just looking. No, what if I ask nicely? No, what if I am already inside? He blinked. I used a movement skill. 1 second later, I touched the gate. The dungeon accepted me. Solo entry confirmed. The guard screamed my name as the world turned black. When my vision returned, I stood in a tunnel made of black metal. The walls were moving, not shaking. Moving. Thousands of iron ants crawled over each other until they formed the walls themselves. One ant was the size of a dog, the smallest one. A message appeared. Cathedral of the Iron Ant Emperor. Raid size recommendation 40. Objective: destroy 4 colony hearts. Defeat the Emperor. Escape before hive collapse. I checked the map. There was no map. Then the ants attacked. I killed the first one. 10 times EXP. The second. 10 times EXP. By the 20th, endless tempo activated. By the 100th, I was running faster than the ants could turn their heads. By the 500th, my stats had climbed from repeated level-ups so rapidly that the system started grouping notifications into batches. By the 1000th, I stopped fighting individual ants. I became weather. I ran through the tunnels, and a shockwave followed me. Ants flew into walls. Loot filled the corridors behind me like metallic snow. I could not even pick it all up. Then I found the first colony heart. It was guarded by an ant general, 30 meters tall, 6 blades, 4 eyes, a health bar that stretched across my vision. The general raised all 6 arms. I raised 1 finger. Not because I was cool. I was checking the wind. Then I sprinted between its legs, ran up the wall, crossed the ceiling, dropped behind it and struck the colony heart instead. The heart exploded. The general froze. Apparently the colony heart had powered its body. The giant boss collapsed without me fighting it. The system gave me the general's boss reward anyway, times 10. I learned an important lesson. Never fight the body if you can punch the battery. The second heart was protected by a puzzle. 40 pressure plates. Of course, the system expected 40 raid members to stand on them while waves of ants attacked. I was alone. I had no rocks. I had something better. Loot. Thousands of iron ant shells. I piled shells on each plate. The door did not open. Too light. I added swords. Still too light. I added armor. Still too light. I added the 10 bronze treasure chests I had been carrying for sentimental reasons. Still not enough. Then I remembered the emergency crystal from Frostfang Keep. I still had it. I placed it on a plate. The plate sank. I looked at the tiny crystal, then at the huge ant shell pile on another plate. That made no sense, so I inspected the plate. Requirement: 1 registered participant. Not wait, presence. The crystal was registered to me. Interesting. I placed another item I owned on a second plate. Nothing. Then I cut my finger and put 1 drop of blood on the plate. It activated. I understood. The dungeon was checking biological ownership. So I did what any responsible hunter would do. I donated 40 drops of blood to dungeon architecture. Every plate activated. The door opened. A system message appeared. Raid mechanic bypassed through excessive technicality. Achievement unlocked. Fine, that counts. 10 achievement boxes appeared. I opened one while running. It contained a legendary consumable, clone token. Creates a temporary physical clone with 1% of the user's stats. The clone is not considered a party member. I stopped running. The ants behind me crashed into each other. I reread the final sentence. Not considered a party member. I opened all 10 boxes. 3 more clone tokens. 2 useless rings. 1 hat that improved negotiation with merchants. 1 cursed spoon. 1 bottle of dragon seasoning. 2 more legendary consumables. I used a clone token. A second me appeared. He had 1% of my stats. He looked at me. I looked at him. He said, "You need a haircut." I hated him immediately, but the system confirmed it. Solo player remained active. That meant clones were allowed. I had just discovered the first loophole big enough to become a national crisis. The clone and I destroyed the second colony heart. Then he vanished. I kept the remaining tokens. Not because I was cautious, because I wanted to see what happened if I used them after leveling another 100 times. The third colony heart was underwater. The dungeon had an underground acid lake, naturally. 40 players were supposed to cross using floating shields while healers cleansed poison. I did not have 40 players. I had the hat that improved negotiation with merchants. There was no merchant. I was disappointed. Then a giant acid eel surfaced, a boss monster. I equipped the merchant hat. The eel paused. I paused. A dialogue option appeared. Trade? I nearly fell into the acid. The stupid hat worked on anything classified as a creature with inventory. The eel had swallowed loot from dead hunters in previous raids. I offered it dragon seasoning. The eel became extremely interested. I traded 1 bottle of seasoning for an A-rank waterproof cloak, 3 mana crystals, and a rusty key. The system calculated the trade. Achievement unlocked. Why did that work? 10 trade rewards. The eel let me ride on its back. So I crossed the acid lake on a giant monster while wearing a merchant hat. Somewhere outside, I knew the National Association was watching through the dungeon broadcast crystal. I decided not to think about it. At the third colony heart, I discovered another ant general. This one could fly. I could not. That was irritating. It hovered above the heart and fired metal feathers like missiles. I hid behind a pillar. The pillar exploded. I hid behind another pillar. That pillar exploded. I ran out of pillars, so I threw the rusty key. The key hit the general in the eye. It screamed. The key fell. Nothing happened. I felt stupid. Then the acid eel burst through the wall. Apparently the rusty key belonged to its restraint collar. Removing it had freed the eel from the lake zone. The eel attacked the ant general. The general attacked the eel. I sat on a broken pillar and ate a recovery bar. The two giant monsters fought for 6 minutes. Then the eel won. I thanked it. It ate the third colony heart. That counted, times 10 rewards. The eel burped. The dungeon shook. Only one heart remained. The final heart was inside the emperor's chamber. I expected a giant ant. I was wrong. The Iron Ant Emperor was human-shaped, 3 meters tall. Black armor grown from its body. A crown made of mandibles, 4 arms, a red spear. Behind it floated the final colony heart. The emperor looked at me, then at the empty doorway, then behind me. You came alone? It could talk. That was new. Yes. Where is your army? I don't have one. Your raid? Also no. Your healers? I have potions. The emperor lowered its spear. For several seconds, neither of us moved. Then it started laughing. Not villain laughing. Actual laughing. It laughed so hard it had to hold its stomach. I was offended. I destroyed 3 colony hearts. That made it laugh harder. I attacked. It blocked. The shockwave destroyed half the chamber. Finally, a real fight. The emperor was level 170. I had entered at level 92. By that point, after slaughtering the hive, I was level 148, still lower. Its spear moved faster than Yaren's sword. Its armor regenerated. Its 4 arms could attack from different angles. Every time I got close to the colony heart, it forced me back. Then the emperor activated its raid mechanic. 40 red circles appeared around the room. A message filled my vision. 40 marked players must occupy all royal seals within 10 seconds. Failure will trigger colony extinction blast. I looked around. 1 player. 40 circles. The emperor smiled. Now you understand. I checked my inventory. 3 clone tokens. Not enough. I checked the circles. 10 seconds. 9. I used 1 token. 2 of me. 8. Second token. 3 of me. 7. Third token. 4 of me. 36 circles still empty. The clones looked at me. One shouted, "Great plan." I hated all of them. 6 seconds. I opened my inventory and searched everything. Weapons, armor, potions, ant shells, goblin spoons, merchant hat, cursed spoon. Wait, the cursed spoon. Its effect was simple. Anything that touches the spoon is temporarily treated as the owner for basic dungeon interactions. I had kept it because it sounded useless. I grabbed the spoon, 5 seconds, then I slammed it into the floor and dragged it in a circle. The spoon touched the red seal, activated. I dragged it to the next, activated. The clones understood. They each grabbed one of my spare spoons. Those were normal spoons. Nothing happened. 1 clone looked betrayed. 3 seconds, I activated movement skills. Endless tempo was still stacked from the hive. I ran. The world slowed. 1 seal, 2, 5, 10, 20. My cursed spoon scraped across the floor so fast it became red hot. I activated 36 seals in less than 2 seconds. The clones stood on the final 3. I stood on the 40th. The timer reached 0. Nothing exploded. The emperor's smile disappeared. The system appeared. Royal raid mechanic successfully completed by 1 registered player. Error. Recalculating. Error. Recalculating. Achievement unlocked. Stop doing that. Reward pending. The emperor screamed and charged. I was laughing too hard to defend properly. Its spear hit my shoulder and sent me through 3 walls. That stopped the laughing. I stood up. My shoulder hurt. My uniform was destroyed. My emergency potion bottles had shattered. The clones were gone. The cursed spoon had melted. For the first time I was actually in danger. The emperor stepped through the broken wall. "Human. What are you?" I wiped blood from my mouth. "Hungry." It looked confused. I skipped lunch. Then I attacked. The fight lasted 21 minutes. That was longer than my entire first academy dungeon. I broke 3 swords. The emperor broke 2 of my ribs. I used ant shells as shields. It used its own broken arm as a weapon. At one point, we both slipped on a pile of mana crystals and fell down the stairs. Nobody looked cool. Then I noticed the Emperor's regeneration slowing. The colony heart behind it pulsed every time its wounds healed. Battery. Again. I could not reach it directly, so I stopped trying. I attacked the ceiling. The Emperor blocked me. I attacked the floor. It blocked again. Then I attacked the wall behind the heart. The Emperor hesitated. Too late. The wall collapsed. The acid eel burst into the chamber. I had forgotten it was still following me. The eel saw the colony heart. The Emperor saw the eel. I saw lunch. The eel lunged. The Emperor turned. I grabbed the Emperor by the ankle and threw it into the eel. The eel swallowed the Emperor, whole. The system did not declare victory. I stared. The eel's stomach expanded. Then the Emperor stabbed out from inside. The eel screamed. The Emperor exploded free, covered in acid and somehow even angrier. Its armor had melted. Its regeneration was gone. The colony heart had been swallowed. The Emperor roared. I punched it, once. The chamber cracked. The Emperor flew backward through the throne. The throne shattered. The boss died. Then everything went silent. A system window appeared. Raid boss defeated. Solo clear confirmed. Rewards multiplied by 10. The dungeon began collapsing. I had 3 minutes to escape. Then 10 enormous golden chests dropped from the ceiling. I looked at the exit. I looked at the chests. 2 minutes 59 seconds. This was the hardest decision of my life. I opened the chests, obviously. One had a legendary spear. One had an armor set. One had a skill book called Emperor's Command. One had a mount egg. One had a title token. One had a class advancement crystal. Then I reached chest 7. Inside was a black card. No rank. No description. Just one line. World access key fragment. 1 of 7. I touched it. The entire dungeon stopped collapsing. Not slowed. Stopped. A giant system message appeared across the sky inside the dungeon. Hidden world condition detected. Unauthorized growth threshold reached. Talent evolution available. I forgot the other chests. A new window appeared. Solo player has met evolution requirements. Option 1. Lone King. Rewards times 20 while alone. Cannot receive any external healing or buffs. Option 2. One-man raid. Summons, clones, tamed monsters, and constructs do not count as party members. Raid mechanics may recognize controlled units as separate participants. Option 3. Nameless Calamity. Reward multiplier remains times 10. All enemies within the dungeon gain scaling bonuses based on your strength. Bonus rewards increase with danger. I stared at the choices. Every option was insane. Lone King meant pure growth. One-man raid meant I could build my own army without losing solo player. Nameless Calamity meant every dungeon would become harder on purpose, but the rewards could become ridiculous. Then a fourth option flickered, locked. Requirements unknown. I tried to inspect it. The system refused. The dungeon resumed collapsing. 2 minutes 12 seconds. I grabbed the remaining chests, shoved everything into storage, and ran. The acid eel followed me. I reached the exit with 7 seconds left. The gate opened. I jumped through. The eel jumped too. That was unexpected. I landed on the river platform in front of hundreds of hunters, soldiers, reporters, and academy staff. The acid eel landed behind me. Everyone screamed. I turned. The eel looked at the city, then at me. A taming window appeared. Acid Lake Tyrant wishes to follow you. Except, I thought about the academy dorm rules. No pets over 20 kilograms. The eel weighed at least 8 tons. I accepted. The crowd screamed louder. Professor Kang marched through the hunters toward me. His face was red. You entered an A-rank raid alone. Yes. You ignored national orders. Yes. You cleared it. Yes. You brought the boss monster outside. Technically it was a mini-boss. The eel hissed. I corrected myself. A respected regional boss. Professor Kang looked like he might retire. Then the association president arrived. Not the eyebrow old man. The actual president. He looked at the closed gate, then at me, then at the eel, then at the mountain of loot still falling out of my storage because I had exceeded the weight limit. He asked one question. What level are you now? I checked. 173, I told him. 3 nearby hunters sat down. The news went insane. The footage leaked. Millions of people watched me ride a sword arc in the tournament. Millions more watched the A-rank raid broadcast. My cursed spoon became a meme. Someone started selling fake replicas. A cooking company offered me a sponsorship. The goblin spoon from my first dungeon sold at auction for more money than my parents' apartment. I did not sell it. I was sentimental. Also, it had +1 poison resistance. The academy could no longer pretend I was normal. They moved me to a special class. I was the only student. The classroom had 40 desks. Professor Kang removed 39. I asked if he was making a point. He said yes. My new schedule included advanced dungeon theory, combat testing, national raid law, and something called Please Stop Exploiting System Architecture. That class was created specifically for me. I failed the first quiz because every answer I gave was technically correct but against the spirit of the dungeon. Meanwhile, guilds became aggressive. One offered me $10 million. One offered me a private island. One offered to legally adopt me into the guildmaster's family. I declined. The Fried Chicken Guild increased its offer to include unlimited side dishes. I almost folded. Then a new problem appeared. Because I had cleared an A-rank raid alone, the system granted me 10 raid titles. Titles could be merged. I combined 2. Solo Raider became Raid Breaker. I combined 2 more. Raid Breaker became Army of One. I combined 4 copies. Army of One became Walking Disaster. I had 2 titles left. I equipped Walking Disaster. Effect: when entering a dungeon alone, dungeon difficulty may increase by 1 tier. Increased difficulty grants increased base rewards. I stared at the effect. Then I laughed. My talent multiplied rewards by 10. The title increased base rewards. If the dungeon became harder, the rewards became better before the multiplier. I had found a way to make my 10 times talent even more unreasonable. Professor Kang saw the title and took it away from me. Not literally, he could not remove it. He just told me not to use it. I promised. Then I used it the next morning. The target was supposed to be a B-rank dungeon called Sunken Library. With Walking Disaster active, it upgraded to A rank the moment I entered. Then Solo Player activated. Then a hidden modifier appeared. Because my level exceeded the dungeon's expected solo range, the dungeon upgraded itself again. A rank became S rank. I stopped smiling. The entrance vanished. The library flooded. Every book turned into a monster. The first enemy was an encyclopedia with teeth. The second was a dictionary that screamed definitions while attacking. The third was a romance novel that charmed skeletons into fighting for it. I spent 10 minutes being chased by aggressive literature. Then I discovered the dungeon's main rule: knowledge had weight. Every skill I used caused the library to learn it. Once learned, monsters could copy it. I used a dash. 5 books learned dash. I used a sword technique. 20 books grew paper swords. I used fire resistance. The next room became fireproof. This dungeon was designed to punish experienced hunters. The more abilities I showed, the stronger it became. So I stopped using skills. I picked up a chair. The chair was not a skill. I hit the dictionary. It died. I kept the chair. For the next hour, I cleared an S-rank magical library using furniture. Every time the dungeon adapted to the chair, I switched. Chair, table leg, lamp, rolling ladder, decorative globe. At one point, I defeated a giant book golem by slamming a door on its fingers. The system kept unlocking achievements. Improvised weapon master, furniture-based negotiation. Literacy is optional, each reward multiplied by 10. Then I reached the library core. The boss was the archivist, a floating figure made from thousands of pages. It copied every skill I had ever used inside a dungeon. Not just the library, everything. Yeren's sword riding trick, my movement skills, my resistance, my strength techniques, even my merchant hat effect. The archivist offered to buy my chair. I was impressed. Then it attacked. It moved like me, fought like me, dodged like me. For the first time I understood how annoying I was. The battle became ridiculous. We raced across bookshelves. We threw furniture. We both tried to use doors as weapons. At one point we reached for the same chair. We stopped. I said, "Mine." The archivist said, "Mine." I kicked it. It copied the kick. We both flew backward. I needed an ability it could not copy. Then I remembered Solo Player. The archivist had copied my displayed skills, but my talent was not a skill. It was a condition. I opened the party interface. Nobody was there. Good. Then I accepted the taming contract for the acid eel. A summoning circle appeared. The eel crashed through 6 floors of the library. The archivist looked up. I looked up. The eel landed on it. The boss died instantly. I was still alone by system standards. One-man raid was not even selected yet, but tamed monsters apparently counted differently from players for my base talent. That made the evolution choice even more complicated. The S-rank library rewards multiplied by 10. I gained 3 levels. At my level, 3 levels from one dungeon was absurd. I also gained 10 copies of a rare item called Blank Skill Page. Write the name of any skill you personally witnessed. Creates a weaker copy. 10 pages. I knew exactly whose skill I wanted. 7 Moon Severing Sword. Yeren had spent her entire life training it. I had ridden it like public transportation. Now I could copy it. I almost wrote the name. Then I stopped. That felt rude. So I wrote something else. Fainting Heel. Bora's accidental area healing spell. The page glowed. Skill acquired. Panic recovery. When you lose consciousness, automatically heal yourself and nearby neutral targets. I laughed for 5 minutes. The dungeon exit opened. When I returned to the academy, Yeren was waiting. She had heard I entered another dungeon alone. She was furious. Not because it was dangerous, because I had not invited her. You could have used a partner. My talent would turn off. I know. Then why would I invite you? So I can beat the dungeon before you do. That is not helping. It helps me. Fair. Yeren had become obsessed with catching up. She entered more dungeons, trained harder, challenged stronger hunters. Her level rose quickly. Not 10 times quickly, but quickly. Then she discovered something that bothered me. During the academy tournament, when I stepped off her 7th sword arc, she had received a system notification too. Hidden rival condition unlocked. She showed me the message. Defeat a hunter with an SSS rank growth talent. Reward. Talent evolution. I stared at her. She smiled. So now I have a reason to beat you. You already had 12 reasons. I like this one more. Great. Now the strongest sword genius in the academy had a system-sponsored reason to hunt me. The next week became a disaster. Yeren challenged me at breakfast. I escaped through a window. She challenged me during class. Professor Kang threatened both of us. She challenged me in the shower hallway. I moved dorms. Finally, I agreed to a duel. One condition. No party registration. She accepted. The academy built a reinforced arena. The reinforced arena broke during warm-ups. So we moved to a dungeon training zone. That was a mistake. Because the moment we entered, solo player activated for me. The dungeon detected walking disaster. The B rank training zone upgraded to A rank. Then Yeren entered as a neutral hunter, not an ally. The system interpreted us as competing solo players. A new mode activated. Rival dungeon. Objective. Reach the boss first. All monsters respawn faster. All rewards doubled. My 10 times multiplier applied after that. I nearly hugged the system. Yeren drew her sword. If you try anything stupid, I'll cut you. I ran. She chased me. What followed was less like a dungeon clear, and more like 2 natural disasters racing through a shopping mall. I killed monsters for EXP. She skipped them for speed. I triggered traps behind me. She cut the traps. She collapsed a bridge. I ran across falling rocks. I released a mini-boss. She rode the mini-boss down a staircase. She learned that from me. I was proud and offended. We reached the final chamber at the same time. The boss was a giant Cyclops knight. Before it finished introducing itself, Yeren attacked from the left. I attacked from the right. The system flashed. Warning, cooperative damage may register temporary alliance. We both stopped in mid-air. The Cyclops looked confused. I landed. Yeren landed. Neither of us wanted to deactivate our solo conditions. The boss attacked me. I dodged toward Yeren. She dodged away. I tried to redirect the boss toward her. She redirected it back. For 10 minutes, neither of us hit the boss. We used it as a weapon against each other. The Cyclops became increasingly upset. Finally, it screamed, "Fight me." We both looked at it, then at each other. Yeren said, "Temporary truce?" No. Agreed. The boss had a rage attack that hit the whole chamber. We stood on opposite sides. The Cyclops charged Yeren. She jumped. I kicked a loose floor tile. The Cyclops tripped. Yeren landed on its helmet. The system did not count it as cooperative because neither of us had intentionally supported the other. Apparently, accidental teamwork was not teamwork. That gave me an idea. I threw my sword at Yeren. She blocked it. The sword ricocheted into the boss. My damage. Yeren threw a broken pillar at me. I dodged. It hit the boss. Her damage. We started attacking each other in ways that accidentally murdered the boss. The Cyclops health bar disappeared. It died in total confusion. Then the system had a breakdown. Boss defeated by multiple unallied solo participants. Competitive reward rules applied. Both players receive individual rewards. My solo player multiplied mine by 10. Yeren's rival bonus multiplied hers by 3. We stared at each other, then at the loot, then back at each other. We had discovered competitive raiding. Not a party, not allies. 2 solo players entering the same dungeon and competing, while both receiving full personal rewards. Yeren's smile became terrifying. I immediately knew this would become a problem. It did. Within 2 days, she had scheduled 14 rival dungeon runs without asking me. I rejected 13. The 14th caught my attention. S-rank dungeon. Recommended raid size, 100. Name, Sky Prison of the Fallen Star. The dungeon had appeared above Busan. A floating fortress surrounded by lightning. Nobody had cleared it. 3 national raid teams had tried. All failed at the entrance mechanic. The gate required a minimum combined level of 10,000. Normally, 100 level 100 hunters could satisfy it. The association was assembling an international force. Yeren wanted to enter as 2 competing solo players. I checked my level, 181. Hers was 93. Combined, we were nowhere near 10,000. So naturally, I said yes. Professor Kang said no. The association said absolutely not. The gate said insufficient combined level. I had a solution. 10 level-up elixirs from the Iron Ant Emperor raid. They did not increase actual level. They temporarily increased displayed level by 20 for gate checks. 10 copies meant plus 200 displayed levels. Still not enough. Yeren had a family artifact that doubled displayed level. Still not enough. Then I remembered my clones. Clone tokens copied 1% of my stats. But did they copy displayed level? We tested one. The clone showed level 181. Interesting. The gate counted it as a controlled entity, not a party member. Even more interesting. I needed roughly 55 clones. I had no tokens left, but I had 10 blank skill pages. And I had personally witnessed clone token activation. I wrote clone creation on one page. The page rejected it. Not a skill. Consumable effect. Annoying. Then the merchant hat saved me again. The National Hunter Market had 3 clone tokens listed. Each cost more than a luxury building. I put on the hat. The seller offered me a 90% discount. I bought all 3. Yeren stared at the hat. What exactly is that? Economics. We still needed more clones, so I used one of my skill evolution stones on an old beginner skill called After Image Step. It evolved. After Image Step became Solid Mirage. Creates one temporary illusion with physical collision. The illusion was not a real clone, but the gate counted it as a controlled entity with my displayed level. I used another evolution stone. Solid Mirage became Legion Mirage. Creates up to 50 physical mirages. I stopped breathing. Yeren looked at me. What did you do? Something the association will hate. I activated Legion Mirage. 50 versions of me appeared. All of them had my face. One immediately fixed his hair. Another checked his status. One said, "We look tired." Yeren slowly sheathed her sword. This is horrible. The gate counted all 50. Displayed combined level shot above 10,000. The sky prison opened. The association president screamed through the communication crystal. We entered anyway. Inside was not a fortress. It was a broken piece of space. Islands floated upside down. Lightning moved like snakes. Gravity changed every few seconds. The floor became the ceiling. The ceiling became a wall. Then the wall tried to eat us. Yeren loved it. She jumped between floating ruins, cutting lightning in half. I sent my mirages in every direction. Solo player remained active. That was when I realized I might not need one-man raid. Legion Mirage was already bypassing some party restrictions, but the locked 4th talent evolution option still bothered me. I wanted to know what it was, so I refused to evolve solo player. I kept it exactly as it was, times 10, simple, dangerous, perfect. We cleared the first zone. Then the Sky Prison system announced a new rule. Only one contestant may advance. Yeren and I stopped. A bridge formed ahead. At the end floated a black door. The system continued. Defeat the competing solo player. Winner receives access to the Star Warden. Loser is expelled. Yeren drew her sword instantly. I pointed at the door. You know we could probably break that. She attacked me. I dodged. You wanted a rival dungeon. I did not want to get stabbed. You always complain. That is because you keep stabbing. We fought across the floating bridge. No training weapons. No arena barrier. Real dungeon. Real lightning. Real consequences. Yeren was stronger than before. Much stronger. Her sword talent had evolved partially through repeated rival conditions. 7 Moon Severing Sword had become 9 Moon Heavenly Severance. 9 silver arcs filled the sky. I looked at them. She shouted, "Do not ride them." I was deeply offended that she knew me so well, so I did not ride them. I summoned 50 mirages. All 50 rode them. Yeren's expression broke. 9 sword arcs became surfboards for an army of fake me. The system started flashing warnings. I used the distraction to reach the black door. I punched it. Nothing. I kicked it. Nothing. I put on the merchant hat. Trade option appeared. Of course, the door had inventory. I offered it a legendary spear I did not use. The door offered me passage. Yeren landed beside me. You bribed the door. Yes. You cannot bribe a door. We are standing inside it. She had no response. We passed through together. The dungeon system displayed an error. 2 contestants detected beyond elimination gate. Recalculating. Then the sky turned black. The Star Warden descended. It was larger than the entire Iron Ant Emperor dungeon. A humanoid body made of constellations. Its head was a burning star. Its sword was a strip of night sky. A health bar appeared. Then another. Then another. 20 health bars stacked vertically. Jiwon whispered, "That seems excessive." I checked the raid rating. S rank disappeared. New classification unknown. Walking disaster had triggered again. The Star Warden looked at me. Not Jiwon, me. Then a system message appeared privately. World access key fragment detected. Unauthorized candidate confirmed. Eliminate before 7th key is assembled. I stopped smiling. This thing was not a normal dungeon boss. It knew about the black card. It knew about the 7 fragments. And apparently, something did not want me collecting them. The Star Warden raised its sword. The entire sky split. Jiwon shouted something. I could not hear her. A black beam cut through 50 floating islands. My mirages vanished. For the first time since awakening, my survival instincts screamed one clear message. Run. So I ran toward it. Because I have problems. The first exchange nearly killed me. The Warden's sword passed through my defense like paper. I lost half my HP from the shockwave alone. Panic recovery activated. Bora's copied fainting heal triggered because I briefly blacked out while flying through a mountain. I woke up fully healed inside a crater. Best skill I had ever stolen. Jiwon landed nearby. You fainted. I recovered. You flew through a mountain. Strategically. The Warden attacked again. We separated. Not allies, not party members. Still 2 competing solo hunters. I noticed something. The Warden had 20 health bars, but only one moved when Jiwon hit it. A different bar moved when I hit it. Personal boss health. Competitive dungeon rules. We did not need to share damage. We each had our own version of the boss layered over the same body. That was insane. It also meant if one of us defeated our personal health bars, we could trigger separate rewards. I told Jiwon. Her eyes lit up. Race? Race. We attacked. That battle destroyed the concept of reasonable architecture. Jiwon cut a floating island in half. I used the broken half as a shield. The Warden threw a star. I punched it. That was a mistake. My glove disintegrated. I kicked it instead. Also a mistake. My boot disintegrated. I started running barefoot. Every time we destroyed one personal health bar, the Warden gained a new ability. Gravity inversion. Time delay. Skill silence. Mirror clones. Meteor rain. At one point it turned off inventory access. I had to fight with a chair I had kept from the sunken library. The chair broke. I mourned for 6 seconds. Then the Warden summoned copies of our strongest techniques. 9 moon sword arcs filled the sky. Jiwon cut through her own attack. A giant acid eel appeared from a summoning circle. My real acid eel burst out of another circle and fought it. 2 giant eels crashed through a constellation. I had no idea what the outside broadcast looked like. Probably expensive. We reached the final health bar. Then the Warden stopped. The dungeon froze. A giant eye opened in the sky. Not a monster eye. A system eye. White. Mechanical. Cold. A voice spoke. Candidate Han Jiwon. Talent growth exceeds permitted regional parameters. World access sequence has been accelerated. 7 key fragments are now active. 1 is in your possession. 1 is located within this dungeon. The remaining 5 have been assigned to living holders. I felt my stomach drop. Living holders. That meant other people had fragments. The voice continued. If all 7 fragments are united, the sealed world gate will open. If another holder collects your fragment, ownership transfers. I looked at Jiwon. She looked at me. The system projected 5 silhouettes. A giant man holding a flaming axe. A woman sitting on a throne of bones. A masked hunter surrounded by floating guns. A child with a dragon behind him. And a figure wearing a white academy uniform. My academy uniform. Jiwon stepped closer. That last one. I know. The image vanished. Then the Star Warden moved again. Its final health bar turned black. Jiwon attacked. Her sword bounced off. I attacked. My fist stopped 1 centimeter from its body. Immune. A new requirement appeared. Final phase condition. At least 40 registered allied players must strike the Warden within 10 seconds. I stared at the message. Jiwon stared at me. Then she laughed. Not because it was funny. Because the dungeon had finally found a mechanic I could not solve with blood, spoons, chairs, bribery, or accidental teamwork. 40 allied players. Specifically allied. If I formed a party, solo player would deactivate. If I did not, the boss stayed immune. The Warden raised its sword. The black system eye watched from above. The second world key fragment floated inside the Warden's chest. Jiwon held out her hand. Join my party. My system window opened. Party invitation from Jiwon. Accept? For the first time since awakening, the answer was not obvious. If I accepted, my 10 times multiplier disappeared. If I refused, the boss could not be damaged. Then I noticed something small, very small. The requirement did not say 40 different players. It said 40 registered allied players must strike the warden. Registered allied players. My eyes moved to the 50 shattered mirage crystals on the ground, then to my 3 remaining evolution stones, then to the locked 4th option under solo player. It was no longer locked. The text slowly appeared. Hidden evolution unlocked. Requirement fulfilled. Reject cooperation until cooperation becomes impossible. Option 4. Self-sufficient world. Your controlled units may register as allies for dungeon mechanics while remaining excluded from your solo player restriction. Reward multiplier remains ×10. Controlled units inherit a fraction of your reward modifiers. Maximum controlled units, unknown. I read it once, then twice, then a third time. Yeren saw my expression. What? I started laughing. The Star Warden raised its sword higher. The dungeon countdown began. 10 seconds, Yeren shouted. Jiwon. I reached toward the evolution window. 9 seconds. The black system eye widened. 8. The warden's chest opened, revealing the second world key. 7. I selected the 4th option. The entire dungeon went white, and somewhere far beyond the gate, 5 unknown key holders received the same message at the exact same time. Han Jiwon has evolved an SSS rank talent. World Gate competition has begun. Then my 50 broken mirage crystals started standing up.